You're watching Skn Newsline TV live on sknnewsline.com.
Logos Hope, the world's largest floating book fair. Come and meet the volunteer crew from more than 60 different countries. Browse through and purchase from our collection of over 5,000 titles of books. Tour through the Journey of Life display. Enjoy a delicious treat in the International Cafe. Ask about tickets for onboard events. And chat with one of our crew about life on board the Logos Hope. See you there!
I'm Andre Huey for SKNewsline.com. We're here again in Old Road. We're here a couple of days ago, the day after Hurricane Maria would have passed. Well, what we can report is that the government had announced, the Public Works Department had announced late last night that the road would have been open by Friday at 6 a.m. The Police Traffic Department also announced made a similar announcement. Now I'm actually now driving on the road. This is the road itself that we were on a few days ago that was completely compromised. Both sections of the road, there was a section further up to Sprattnet, another section entering Old Road itself. Now, as we can see, this was the area that we were a few days ago. Now, the government has put together, the Public Works Department has put together a temporary reinforcement of the road to allow vehicular traffic to drive on the road. So as we speak, I'm driving on the road, the same road that was completely damaged a few days ago. I'm actually driving on that road right now. You can actually see some work was done on it. We're looking here now at some government public works trucks here in the area. Let me just come out here. All right, so as I was saying, the road itself has been repaired. It hasn't been paved or anything. You can see some of the dust, a lot of dust is still there. You could actually see the area where the excavation would have taken place and the area that was actually damaged. That has been dumped up. We're trying to see if we could get someone from the Public Works Department who could give us some more detailed information as to what they actually did there. But what we can report is that the road is open. Vehicular traffic is allowed to come in and out of Old Road through the same road. However, the Police Traffic Department has urged motorists to use the road cautiously, use it with caution, as they would have known. It's a temporary fix. It's a reinforcement nonetheless of the road, so vehicles are allowed to drive and can drive on it, but still use it with caution. This may come as welcome news as well to residents in the Old Road Halfway Tree area, going all the way down to Sandy Point, for the simple reason that for buses, public buses, I'm just seeing a public bus here now, that's a passenger bus, they're now using that road. The same day we were here, later in the evening, a press release was issued by the Sugar City Bus Association, the president, Mr. Boland Jr., who announced that the bus drivers along the West Line, this side of the island, would actually be raising their bus fares as they would be driving a much longer route to get to Old Road, to get to Halfway Tree, to get to New Guinea and these places. They are going to be driving east through Keon. They would have to spend more money on gas. It's at least 20 miles more than they would normally drive, and so they raised the bus fare at least almost by twice the price from the usual price, or almost, not quite exactly twice the price, but close to that amount. And their argument for it is simple. Look, we're driving a longer distance, you're going to be using up more gas, you have to pay more money. So that announcement came like immediately after it was decided that the road was impassable. A day later, the government has now announced the road is open, it is available for use, so the buses are now driving this area. So indeed, the people in this area are quite welcome of this news, because it means they won't have to now pay twice the amount they would normally pay using the public bus transportation system. Again, we'll continue to monitor the situation. We'll try and get an official from the Public Works Department or the Minister himself, Mr. Ian Liburd, to give us some more information as to what is being done here and what's the future plan for Old Road Bay. So we're here now in New Guinea. We're at Reggie's Boatyard / Telka Marina. We're in here. When we were here a couple of days ago, this whole area here was covered with silt, sand, rocks, all that coming over the shore from the seashore, from the sea surges that were coming from Hurricane Maria. Well, as you can see, a day later, it's looking much better. Reporting from Old Road for SKNewsline.com, I'm Andre Huey.
At Najiko, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like your boat when you're at sea and you get away from everything. Your home and the security of your daughter's things. And the car that you've had for too long, but after all these years, you just can't let go. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
St. Kitts and Nevis will receive financial support from a payout by the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility Segregated Portfolio Company, CCRIF SPC, for damage suffered from the passage of Hurricane Irma. The payout is valued at approximately $2.3 million US or 6.2 million EC. Information from the CCRIF SPC states that the company, and I quote, will be making payouts totaling approximately 15.6 million US or 42 million EC to the governments of Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, and St. Kitts and Nevis as a result of the passage of Hurricane Irma, which triggered payments on these countries' tropical cyclone policies, end quote. The CCRIF board will meet shortly to determine additional support that it can offer countries affected. St. Kitts and Nevis is one of 16 countries that are currently members of the facility. According to information from the St. Kitts and Nevis government, although the Federation was spared the worst of the storm's fury, preliminary findings show that several homes sustained severe damage and a number of downed electricity poles resulted in power outages. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris said that an assessment is being conducted on the coastal zones to evaluate the extent of any damage and that the National Emergency Management Agency's NEMA Damage Assessment and Needs Analysis Committee had been deployed. Cabinet awaits the results of those findings. Anguilla and Antigua and Barbuda will receive payout from the CCRIF of 6.5 million US or 17.6 million EC and 6.8 million US or 18 million EC respectively. CCRIF SPC will verify the payout calculations and is currently in discussion with the three governments about making arrangements for transfer of these payouts, which will be completed within 14 days after the event, as mandated by the CCRIF's operational guidelines. The Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility was formed in 2007 as the first multi-country risk pool in the world. It was designed as a regional catastrophe fund for Caribbean governments to limit the financial impact of devastating hurricanes and earthquakes by quickly providing financial liquidity when a policy is triggered. In 2014, the facility was restructured into a segregated portfolio company, Henniker Porto, Skn Newsline.
At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like knowing you're covered when your house gets flooded. Getting your settlements quickly and fairly when a fire hits your home. And making sure your business can keep going even after an accident happens on site. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has offered to accommodate secondary school students from islands that were severely affected by the passage Hurricane Irma and who are registered to sit the Caribbean Examination Council exams. The Dr. Timothy Harris-led administration has offered temporary accommodation in response to the needs of those affected countries as they seek to rebuild and return to a state of normalcy. Harris was a part of an OECS Monetary Council delegation that visited the storm-affected island of Anguilla on Wednesday, where he met with over 100 St. Kitts and Nevis nationals and identified focal points of assistance. One area of concern identified during that consultation was the consideration of students of those affected countries, particularly those who are registered to sit CXC exams. As a result, Harris announced that accommodations are being made for displaced students in Anguilla, St. Martin, and the British Virgin Islands who are registered for upcoming CXC exams.
And they are rightly concerned if they think that their students will be disadvantaged from a long closure of the high school. Again, on humanitarian and compassionate grounds, we are saying we are able to do so. These things that we are offering to do are manageable. They will make a significant difference in the efforts to restore those countries now impacted to a state of normalcy.
At a press conference on Thursday, Prime Minister Harris said the government has made its hospitals available to residents of neighboring islands should the need for health services be required. St. Kitts Nevis has also offered the Robert L. Bracha International Airport as a staging platform for relief to St. Bart's, St. Eustatius, French St. Martin, Saba, and Dutch St. Martin, and has also provided diplomatic clearance for foreign vessels that could not safely get into the waters of French St. Martin. The Prime Minister also revealed that the Federation has provided entry to 251 people who were processed at the seaport.
So we are not bringing persons here for them to be hidden away at Port Zante or in Charlestown or in any neck or cranny of the country. What we have done simply out of love. Simply from the standpoint of human decency, that people who had come upon distress not of their own making should properly be facilitated at our shores and at our borders. None of them have requested work permits. None, therefore, has been accorded to any. I want to make the further point that our immigration laws, particularly as they relate to work permit, will never be compromised, particularly if it were to disadvantage any of our citizens.
Harris also said that the government is prepared to assist in the restoration of electricity supply to Anguilla and to any other island that requests such assistance. He stressed that these outreach efforts being made available by the St. Kitts and Nevis government are manageable and will make a significant difference in the efforts to restore those countries now impacted to a state of normalcy. I'm Chantel Rochester, Skn Newsline.
You're watching Skn Newsline TV live on sknnewsline.com. Patrons and nationals turned out to witness the first ever National Heroes ceremony at the newly constructed National Heroes Park by the airport roundabout in Connery on National Heroes Day Saturday. The ceremony was replete with laying of wreaths in honor of the Federation's 5 national heroes, speeches and addresses from the architect for the project, Calvin Pemberton, Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, and the only living national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons. Mr. Pemberton gave an overview of the National Heroes Park project, complete with the synopsis of its design and the various contractors and subcontractors involved in its construction.
Builders used on the project included Chris Maynard out of Connery, Ronald Warner from Mansion, Lester Nisbet from Connery, Ricky Lewis from Connery, Nigel Roach, St. Johnson Village, who did the tiling and the paving, Kenny Brown, Molyneux. The heavy equipment operated used, the Percy Trucking Services out of Phillips's, Elco Limited, Canada Industrial Estate, Sonny's Trucking out of Connery Village, Dave Esdale from Canada Industrial Estate, Bright Trucking and Backhoe Services from Tabernacle, Rock and Dirt out of Connery.
The construction of the National Heroes Park was announced last year, Heroes Day, and ground broke for its construction. Since then, work had begun on the facility with an increased pace over the last few months. It is funded in part by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China on Taiwan. The latter donated $2 million towards the project. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris lauded the importance of the new facility and the significance of honoring the nation's heroes.
National heroes, therefore, are lights that illuminate the pathway to the darkness. They help to shape and develop a thriving and stable nation in which everyone can feel cared for, nurtured, protected, and fulfilled. Young people, you are waiting in the wings, and the stage is now yours to come forward and play your part in nation building.
Meanwhile, the only living national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons, addressed the gathering. The nation's first Prime Minister directed his speech to the young people of the country, urging them to aspire for greatness, despite their humble beginnings.
You achieve that success. Remember, to build a better life for your parents and guardians who sacrifice much and deprive themselves so that you can make it. Learning in school, striving to be the best you can be, is the foundation on which you can build the rest of your life. Now I am going to give you, all of you, here and in TV and radio land, some advice. I know some people don't like to take advice, but I'll give it anyway, because it is personal. It is how I lived it. 1, every day, pay careful attention to the teacher in class and try to understand what you are being taught.
Family members of some of the nation's heroes were invited to lay wreaths, including relatives of Sir C.A. Paul Southwell and the grandchildren of Sir Robert Bradshaw. Premier of Nevis and senior minister in the federal government, Vance Amory, Prime Minister Harris, Governor General Sir Tapley Seaton, Commander of the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force, Colonel Patrick Wallace, and Commissioner of Police Ian Quealy also laid wreaths. The ceremony was also attended by members of the diplomatic corps. On National Heroes Day, the custom is to lay wreaths at the monument of the nation's first national hero and first Premier, Robert L. Bradshaw, which is located in St. Paul's. The Team Unity administration held the last 2 ceremonies there, but made the decision this year to host the ceremony for the first time at the National Heroes Park, which is still under construction. Skn Newsline did not see the opposition leader, Dr. Denzel Douglas, or a representative of his party, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, at Saturday's function, and the government had not indicated publicly if they were invited. The opposition had sent a press release earlier in the week to say that it would host its own wreath-laying ceremony at Bradshaw's monument in St. Paul's later in the afternoon. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline.
Why read the news when you can watch it? Introducing Skn Newsline, the Federation's only online TV news platform. Skn Newsline is an online TV news platform covering news in St. Kitts and Nevis. We provide a daily and accurate news on the big stories and stories of interest that other media outlets have ignored. You can watch Skn Newsline on our website, www.sknnewsline.com, or Facebook page at www.fb.com/SKN Newsline, and also subscribe to our Skn Newsline YouTube channel. Skn Newsline, your world, your news.
St. Nevis, get ready for the first time to the shores of the Federation. William McDowell is coming! William McDowell is coming! Friday, November 17th, floor crowds go live for the Next Generation United Elevation Festival 2017. Featuring Datricia Morton, Samuel Menace, Sharon Nurse, Divine Wonders Band, and Next Generation United. Get your early bird tickets now for only $30 until August 31st. Children under 12 pay $10 at the gate and adults $40. Get your tickets right now. Neville's Eatery, Uncle T's Snack It, and A1 Technologies in Queens, Nevis. Save the date, Friday, November 17th at the Flood Grounds, 7:30 p.m. sharp. Get ready for Next Generation United Elevation Festival 2017. Whoa!
At Nagico, the things that matter to you matter to us. Like knowing you're covered when your house gets flooded, getting your settlements quickly and fairly when a fire hits your home, and making sure your business can keep going even after an accident happens on site. At Nagico, we're about much more than just insurance. We're about the big things and the small things that mean everything.
It's the day after Hurricane Irma flew past St. Kitts and Nevis, sparing us the worst. I'm Andre Huey from Skn Newsline.com. We're here in the community of Parsons, heading into Deep Bay. We're on our way to Old Road to see how they fared in the hurricane. Basically, what we've seen so far on the eastern side of the island, the eastern side would have gotten the most hits as a result of the direction of Hurricane Irma. Overnight, it moved a bit up north from the original forecast, and so majority of the island was spared the worst of the ravages of Hurricane Irma. But the eastern side of the island did get a little bit more damage than the other side. The damages are quite minimal. Most of them are down trees and down utility poles. One area of note is the area of Mansion, where the playing field there in the Mansion Estridge area. The roof of the covering of the grandstand, that was completely blown away. So there's no zinc, there's no roofing on the grandstand in the Mansion Estridge playing field. There were a few down trees along the side of the road, and in the area of Sadlers, we noticed, Sadlers and Parsons, we noticed some down utility poles. A lot of the communities, a lot of the residents in this area, in the eastern part of the island, Keon, Sadlers, Molyneux, Deep Bay, as we're heading into now, they were without power and are still without power for most of the day after the hurricane has passed. But we're checking in, and of course the reason for that could be the fact that most of the utility lines in those areas are down. On our way in, coming into Keon, we saw the cable company, they were online, they were trying to repair some of the utility poles and lines in the area. We're going to head over to Old Road to see what's happening there as we continue our coverage. While we do that, we'll continue to monitor the areas of St. Paul's, Deep Bay, Newton Ground, and of course Harford-Tree and Old Road, the areas that will probably be the most hard hit of Hurricane Irma. So we're now in Old Road. We were here a couple of days ago, where we looked at some of the houses close to the shoreline to see how badly they were doing ahead of the storm. This is a tree. It was a huge tree, right? Yeah. And from the reports we got, it just fell on this shop here. That left a hole in the roof of the shop. So this is the first major damage we've come across so far in Old Road. So there was a lot of wind down here then? Yeah. So we're here at the location. We were here 2 days ago, just before the hurricane. The lady for this house, this is her husband, and Sandra Richardson for this house. She spoke to us and talked about what normally happens here. Well, as you can see, the sea is still rough. It's actually rougher than when we came a couple of days ago, being that the hurricane is still out at sea. These stones right here probably would have been all the way up here had the storm was a bit stronger. As you know, it took a different turn just before it hit St. Kitts. We still have some water in the gut here. This would have been coming from the river, right? Yeah. So there's still some water here, left here. Right. So this is what the sea would have brought up here. So far the people of Old Road have been spared the worst, because it could have been worse. What we've seen so far is just a tree, a big tree, a huge tree that was blown down. And this was a very powerful hurricane because a lot of the big trees around the country were actually blown off, were uprooted. Yeah. So we see some trees in the river. right down here. We'll just get a shot of that. So you're seeing there in the background some trees down, limbs in the gut, and the gut basically is the walkway for the river, the Old Road River, which will come down and meet the sea. So fortunately for Miss Richardson and family and the residents here in Old Road, the hurricane was not as strong as was forecast, and so even though the sea is there and raging and railing, it still hasn't come up, hasn't met with the river, and as a result of that, the people have not been flooded out, which is usually the case whenever there's heavy rain. But there's still another hurricane out at sea, Hurricane Jose, expected to reach here by weekend. So preparations will be the same.
Yeah, we're moving on to the
Okay. So right now no one is here.
No.
Okay. And most of the stuff you've managed to move away. Okay. Well, we wish you all the best. We hope people will probably do like Irma and not do us that bad. So we're now leaving Old Road, having spoken to Mr. Richardson, one of the residents in Old Road who we spoke to before, and his wife. So far, things are good in Old Road, apart from the tree that fell on the shop in the area that left a hole in the roof. Everyone is safe. There hasn't been any major damages reported from the Old Road area, as would normally be the case, because of course with Hurricane Irma taking a northward trend overnight, that prevented most of what could have been a catastrophic damage in the area. That prevented that. So we give God thanks for that. We're heading now back to the Bastia area. We are now monitoring Hurricane Jose to see what's going to happen there, whether he's going to be making direct landfall on St. Kitts, or will he be following the same path as Hurricane Irma did. We'll continue to monitor the situation there and provide you with reports. Reporting for Skn Newsline. For sknewsline.com, I'm Andre Huey. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Andre Huey, and I want to introduce you to an online radio station for Caribbean listeners. Introducing Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net. Voice of the Caribbean Radio, or BOC Radio, is an online radio station providing the best in news, sports, and entertainment. We offer original programs and programs from our partner radio stations around the region, including the Caribbean News Hour, Caribbean Sports Roundup, Inside Politics, Caribbean Sports Talk, and much more. You can also listen to us on our mobile app for both Apple and Android mobile devices, as well as on TuneIn. And if you missed any one of our original programs, listen to us again on BOC On Demand on our website. So be sure to listen Voice of the Caribbean Radio at voiceofthecaribbean.net or on our mobile apps. Voice of the Caribbean Radio, reaching the Caribbean and beyond.
Kids neighbors, get ready for the first time to the shores of the Federation. William McDowell is coming! William McDowell is coming!
Come on, let's sing it together.
Friday, November 17th, flow crowds come alive for the Next Generation United Elevation Festival 2017. Featuring Trisha Morton, Samuel Menace, Sharon Nurse, Divine Wonders Band, and Next Generation United. Get your early bird tickets now for only $30 until August 31st. Children under 12 pay $10 at the gate and adults $40. Get your tickets right now. Neville's Eatery, Uncle T's Snack It, and A1 Technologies in Queens, Suriname. Save the date, Friday, November 17th at the Flow Ground, 7:30 p.m. sharp. Get ready for Next Generation United Elevation Festival 2017.
Whoa!
Logos Hope, the world's largest floating book fair. Come and meet the volunteer group from more than 60 different countries. Browse through and purchase from our collection of over 5,000 titles of books. tour through the Journey of Life display. Enjoy a delicious treat in the International Cafe. Ask about tickets for onboard events and chat with one of our crew about life on board the Logos Hope. See you there!
Christophe Harbour donated $20,000 to the J. France General Hospital to assist in the purchasing of a brand new ambulance. On Tuesday, during the announcement at the J. Hospital, Chief Surgeon Dr. Cameron Wilkinson spoke about the fundraising efforts to purchase this ambulance, which has so far raised 150,000 EC dollars.
We organized a fundraising concert. The first concert was held at Mapao, and at that time we raised about $12,000. We continued with this effort, and over the years we saw a steady increase in the funds that were raised from this effort. Last year we raised about $50,000, and this year we decided that we'll try to see if we can double our efforts, because our plan was to raise as much funds as possible to go towards the purchase of an ambulance. We know that people call upon the hospital for ambulance services all the time, and sometimes persons don't realize how much we are stretched, especially when we have activities like carnival, music festival, cricket, etc.
The ambulance cost $255,000 EC dollars, so with this donation from Christophe Harbour, together with contributions from government and the money already raised, Dr. Wilkinson expects the ambulance to be here later this year.
And in total, we were able to raise about $150,000. This would be given to the health institution, and the government will partner with us in terms of purchasing the ambulance. We have an estimate so far of about $255,000. I think that's it, Ms. Cranston, for an ambulance EC. Okay, so we are more than halfway there. And so with the other funds coming from government, later this year, we would have the ambulance on board. And one of the things that I'd said when I spoke to Christophe Harbour, I said that the person who gave the biggest donation, they would have their emblem placed on the ambulance, because I believe that people who do exceptional work should be treated exceptionally.
Meanwhile, John Gershonde, VP of Operations at Christophe Harbour, spoke about this donation and other contribution it has made to the Pogson Medical Center in Sandy Point.
Health and wellness and improving the quality of life is a pillar and a hallmark of the Darby Foundation, and we couldn't be happier to be a part of this. Christophe Harbour Foundation in the past has played a pivotal role in many healthcare fundraising efforts and or donations. In the past, led by Tammy Darby, we've donated several incubators and neonatal care supplies for the hospital. We've also donated beds, delivery beds, nebulizers, cardiac monitors, and medical supplies for the Pogson Medical Center as well.
Dr. Wilkinson said there are currently 2 functioning ambulances, which makes it challenging to meet the current demand.
Sometimes persons call for an ambulance just for transport. In some countries, people have ambulances that do routine transports, and the ambulances are used for emergencies. And we find that sometimes the system is actually abused. But we are hoping to increase the fleet, because in addition to the ambulance that we'll be purchasing through our donation, the government has plans to purchase 2 new ambulances also, so that this problem would be addressed.
Dr. Wilkinson said they are looking to increase fleets to about 5 or 6 to serve all 3 hospitals on St. Kitts. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. With over 170 attendees attending the recent job fair hosted by the Solid Waste Management Corporation, the SWMC, the management of the corporation is upbeat with the outcome of the event. General Manager of the SWMC, Mr. Alfonso Bridgewater, said after the fair that he understood some persons who arrived later left when they learned that the conference room where the fair was being held was filled.
From the standpoint of the fact that it was about recruitment and hiring staff across the various departments of the corporation, I think it provided a source. 170 people plus who attended, and I understand some people came and when they realized the room was full, they turned back. I want to use this occasion to say that even though you weren't there, one of the 170, we still would accept the application because we want the very best out of the lot out there who are interested in work. We also had an opportunity to be able to provide information across the board about the organization.
Director of Human Resources at the SWMC, Jamila Christopher, said the event was very positive.
Almost every village had someone attended. We had a lot of females, however. We kind of wanted to see more males, with an equal balance of males. But it was very, very positive. People were enthusiastic, they were ready, they were willing to work, and we are basically moving forward in screening these applicants.
Ms. Christopher said the process of selecting a short list of candidates from the applications would take 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Mr. Bridgewater said they would go through the applications and select a few persons for additional interviews.
We had completed application form which we could now use to screen, and as of that, after come up with a short list and then move towards the whole process of interviewing.
Mr. Bridgewater is satisfied that people left with a greater understanding of the role of the SWMC in the country.
What they get is a more amplified view, an opinion, a position of what all solid waste does. The staff, because one of the good things about the presentation this morning, the job was to give staff who work in the actual areas an opportunity to speak directly to that. The street cleaners, the people who work on the landfill site, on the trucks, the drivers and so on. That, to hear a different voice and the people directly involved in it, added to that as well.
The Solid Waste Management Corporation is hiring persons to fill several positions, including street sweepers, utility officer, heavy equipment drivers, garbage collector, loaders, landfill site operators, security officers, mechanics, litter wardens, and office cleaners. Andre Huey, Skn Newsline. You're watching Skn Newsline TV live on sknnewsline.com.